I'd like to bring to your attention John Shahan. Now, John is the president of the Shakespeare Authorship Coalition, the SAC, in America. The organization, and John was very, very important in this, in bringing forward the Declaration of Reasonable Doubt. I think it was back in 2007 that was launched. I remember a wonderful day at the Chichester Arts Festival when Mark was producing the final day of his I Am Shakespeare play, that we all met there, had lunch and officially signed the declaration, the British version at least. And John's coming along this evening and he's going to give us an update on the Declaration of Reasonable Doubt. John, over to you.
Thank you, Bill. I'm going to start with the basics of what the SAC is about for anyone not yet familiar with us, give some history, and then end with what we're planning next. My organization, the Shakespeare Authorship Coalition, as its name implies, is a coalition of authorship organizations that have endorsed and individuals who have signed the Declaration. We seek to unite authorship doubters of all persuasions behind the one thing we all agree on, that there's reasonable doubt that William Shakespeare of Stratford-upon-Avon wrote the works. This is the threshold question in the controversy. If there is no room for doubt about him, then there is no Shakespeare authorship question, and it makes no sense to consider any alternative authorship candidate. This, of course, is Stratfordian's main line of defense. No room for doubt. Using this claim, Stratfordian scholars have delegitimized the issue, making it a taboo subject. If there is no room for doubt about him, then authorship skeptics can be summarily dismissed. That's why they're so worried about the Declaration. It directly contradicts their central claim. Plus, our list of signatories shows who doubters really are, as opposed to their false stereotype. My principal co-author was Diana Price, author of Shakespeare's Unorthodox Biography. But no organization was more supportive of me in writing and launching the Declaration than the SAT. Mark Rylance was chairman at that time, and he and his fellow trustees saw its potential and put much effort into advising me on what points to include and exactly what to say. I will always be grateful for their many contributions. We couldn't have done it without them. Mark was also critical to the successful launch of the Declaration in the UK. It was launched in 2007, first in same-day signing ceremonies in Los Angeles and Portland, Oregon, and then in Chichester, West Sussex, in a signing ceremony featuring Mark, Sir Derek Jacobi, and Bill Leahy, who also launched his degree program in authorship studies at Brunel University then. That combination attracted major media attention, which we would hope to do again someday. The Declaration was written to provide a brief yet definitive introduction to the key evidence in the controversy on both sides of the issue to make it more readily understandable to the public. Early on, it lists 20 notable doubters of the past to make the point that many very credible people have been skeptics, contrary to the negative stereotype promoted by Orthodox scholars. It then outlines the most important evidence for Shakespeare and explains why it is inadequate. Next, it presents a summary of some of the more important reasons why Shakespeare doesn't fit. It concludes that the issue should therefore be seen as a legitimate topic throughout academia. That, of course, is exactly what Stratfordian scholars do not want. They want to keep it taboo. We try to be an advocacy organization, and the Declaration and its thousands of signatories are ideal for engaging in public advocacy, but it is difficult when you cannot get media attention. Neither the Birthplace Trust nor anyone else has written a rebuttal explaining where the Declaration is wrong. or written a counter declaration explaining simply and clearly why there is no room for doubt, even though we've asked them to do both. The reason they have not written a rebuttal or counter declaration is that they cannot compete. If they wrote a counter declaration, it would be compared to ours, and it would not come off as well. They also would not be able to compete with us in either the number or quality of signatories. Of course, they would get the members of their own quasi-religious cult, but not many others. In 2013, the Trust published the book Shakespeare Beyond Doubt, with contributions by 22 top Stratfordians. Both its title and the fact that it included a chapter on the Declaration made it clear that it was in response to the Declaration, yet it still did not include a detailed rebuttal. But for the first time, the Trust had found it necessary to write a book about the controversy. It was the Declaration and the highly credible people who signed it that made it necessary. The SAC obtained an advance copy and soon wrote its own book with the near identical title, Shakespeare Beyond Doubt, ? An anthology featuring outstanding research by several of our best anti-Stratfordian scholars. The Trust took 2 years to write its book. We completed our book in 6 months, publishing it 1 month after theirs. The SAC's is clearly the better book. With nearly identical titles, they appear together at Amazon, so they are easy to compare. The SAC book has 98 ratings, averaging 4.6 stars. The Trust book has 51, averaging 3.8 stars. Our book also sells better. And if you search on the title of their book, our book comes up first. Each chapter first gives a quote from the Declaration, and then that chapter backs up the quote. In publishing a book with the title Shakespeare Beyond Doubt, the Trust had taken the bait. In our book, the SAC challenged the Trust to defend its claim that Mr. Shakespeare's authorship was beyond doubt in a mock trial and to the legal standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden of proof would be on the Trust, which is only fair since they had made the claim. This is what we had always planned to do since issuing the Declaration of Reasonable Doubt. That is why the Declaration reads like a legal brief, and its title gives the appropriate verdict. The Trust declined, so the SAC got 40 doubters to pledge to donate £40,000 to the Trust if they participated and proved their claim. Again, they declined. So the SAC published its offer in a full-page ad in the Times Literary Supplement in London. The Trust continued to decline the challenge, and as far as the SAC is concerned, the Trust has conceded the issue by default. It is inconceivable that the Birthplace Trust would pass up a chance to prove once and for all that authorship skeptics are the ignorant fools they claim us to be, pocket £40,000 for doing it, and put the issue behind them if they thought they could. Exposing them is a big achievement. Unfortunately, the media are against us, and so we were unable to get any significant publicity. We are hoping now to reissue the challenge, but with a larger reward and a better media campaign. The more signatories we have who are academics, people with advanced degrees, and notables, the more likely the media will be to take us seriously and cover us when we relaunch our challenge. We now have 4,850 signers, 107 of whom are notables, 812 academics, and 1,882 with advanced degrees. 38% of all signatories have advanced degrees. We ask signers about their academic field, and the largest single category is those in English literature. It is an impressive group. and we should have well over 5,000 when we reissue the challenge. We're tentatively planning to do it in 2023 in the lead up to the 400th First Folio anniversary. Anything the SAT can do to help gain media attention at that time will be greatly appreciated. I hope that any of you who have not yet signed the declaration will go online and do so at the website of the SAC at doubtaboutwill.org. Again, that's doubtaboutwill.org. And please urge others you know to do the same. It should be a norm that every authorship doubter reads and signs the declaration. I'm sure that nearly everyone attending this webinar has already signed, and I thank you for it.
Thank you very much for that, John. And yeah, if you haven't signed it, please get over there and sign it. Your signature will be most welcome.